So let's talk about the MBTI letter system because a lot of people don't know what the J and the P actually mean, and I'll explain that. So the first letter is I or E. Now this stands for Introversion Extroversion. Now if you're an introvert, that means that a lot of your energy is focused going inwards, right? So this is reflecting, introspecting, processing, and going over known information by going inwards. Do you go inwards to solve a lot of your problems, or just direct your energy going inwards? And Carl Jung refers to the introverts as being subjective because they're mainly dealing with their own perspective, experience, judgment. If you're an extrovert, that means that your energy is drawn outside of yourself, right? And Carl Jung refers to these guys as being objective because they're looking at something that can be looked at by other people, right? And when it's more than one person having an opinion on something, then it becomes objective, if that makes sense. Now, if you really focus, you can really sense where your energy is drawn to. If you pay attention, you can see when your energy is drawn outside of yourself or inside of yourselves. It's a very distinct feeling if you pay attention. Now, the next letter is N or S, right? So S means that you value tangible, concrete information, things that you can see right in front of you, aka the present, or things that have happened already. So this is concrete information that does not require an interpretation because you're taking things as they are or as they were, right? So the past and the present. I'll give an example. So right now, what I can see right now, there's one door right there, there's one door right there. I have a sticky note on there. Then there's a carpet, my guitar is right there, right? So that's sensing outside of myself because it's outside of myself. Now, sensing inside of myself is pretty much just your past. You need to reflect on the experience. So I remember that first of all, I started pointing at the doors. I pointed those out, then I pointed out the carpet, and then I pointed out the guitar as the camera was looking at me. Boom, right? You reflected on something that is concrete and has passed already, right? That's introverted sensing and extroverted sensing. This deals with your senses. Sensing, right? 5 senses. Now, intuition is the ability to take a small amount of sensory data and come to a conclusion. So for some people, this can be called speculation. Another way to look at intuition and sensing is the mind-body connection, whereas sensing is your body and intuition is your mind, right? So what that means is that you're able to distill your sensory information into your mind's eye to get an understanding of things, right? So with sensing, you are more concerned with doing, and with intuition, you are more concerned with ideating or making connections and insight. So extroverted intuition, making connections between things. Banana looks like a gun, boom, done, connection. Now, introverted intuition is the next thing that we're gonna have is thinking or feeling. Now, for thinking, that means that you make your decisions and judgments based on impersonal reasoning or objective valuations, what we typically would refer to as being objective in our society. Whereas feeling is more interested in making value judgments intrapersonally or interpersonally. Now the last part is the J and the P. It just means if they're structuring their outer world, right? Whereas P's are usually more go with the flow and laid back attitude, the J's are more structured. And the reason that this happens is because, so what the J actually means is that a person has an extroverted judging function as one of their first 2 functions, whether that be extroverted thinking, ENTJ, ESTJ, INTJ, ISTJ, or extroverted feeling, ENFJ, ESFJ, INFJ, ISFJ. These guys are judgers because the way that they present themselves to others, or what they're expressing, is their judgment function, right? That's what other people are seeing. Ps have a extroverted perceiving function as their first or second slot. So for these people, it's INTP, ISTP, ENTP, ESTP, or INFP, ISFP, ENFP, and ESFP. The way that they're interacting with the external world is through a perceiving function, which is not organized like an extroverted judging function. So this is where some confusion comes in, because NI, SI, NE, SE are perceiving functions. These functions are used to see how things are or perceive, right? Whereas introverted intuition is foresight. Introverted sensing is hindsight. Extroverted sensing is what you can see around you, and extroverted intuition is all the possibilities that exist and the connections that everything has to each other, right? These are things that you have to perceive. Now, the INTJ, ISFJ, INFJ, and ISTJ have NI or SI as their perceiving functions in the dominant slot. What this means is that they are dominant perceiving types, but because the perception is introverted, what people are seeing is their extroverted judging function, extroverted thinking or extroverted feeling, which makes them a judger in the letter system. But these guys are not judgers, but they look like judgers because that is the way that they are interacting with the external world. Whereas INTPs, ISTPs, INFPs, and ISFPs are using a judging function as their dominant function, but because it's introverted, you're not really seeing their evaluations and their judgment, right? So what this means is that, for example, I'm an INTJ, I use introverted intuition first. That means I'm perceiving how things are and I'm taking in the information before I make a decision and a judgment. And when I make that judgment, because I'm thinking out loud with extroverted thinking, I'm likely to say that out loud and then reflect on what I said. If I haven't thought it through, and reflect on what I said, and then think about it more with my introverted intuition, going over the statement, right? So yeah, I think that's been kind of a point for confusion for people, in that Catherine Briggs and Isabel Myers made the system is for the J and the P to mean what their first extroverted function is, okay? Not that one person is, a judger in the sense that they're just judging people and on their high horse or whatever. Yeah, a lot of people don't even like really know that, and Socionics tries to fix this. But the thing is that it doesn't need to be fixed, because it's just a misconception that people didn't even really know about. The J and the P just meant there to mean their first extroverted function. That's it. Okay, that's all. Have a good one.